Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this special fireside chat, powering the future of gaming and esports. We will discuss how connectivity and smart regulation are driving the growth of gaming and highlight Saudi Arabia's vision to become a global hub for digital entertainment. We are honored to welcome His Royal Highness Prince Faisal bin Bendar bin Sultan Al Saud, Chairman of the Board of Directors of the Saudi Esports Federation, as our distinguished guest for this session. The session will be moderated by Ms. Rawan Al-Bteri, CEO of the Federation.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here with all of you today. And I'm even more proud and honored to represent an industry that is defining the future of entertainment, technology, and sports for all. Transforming how we play, communicate, and connect, and contributing massively to building economies, launching careers, and uniting communities and cultures from all around the world as well. It is a pleasure to be here at the Global Symposium for Regulators, listening to experts and professionals talking about connectivity, regulations, innovation, and talent. What excites me even more to see how, in many ways, gaming and esports sits right at the intersection of all of these topics together, especially in Saudi Arabia, where the lines between technology and infrastructure and entertainment are merging to create something extraordinary that the world is witnessing today. In just a few years, and under the vision and the unlimited support of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, esports in Saudi Arabia have gone from being a niche, passionate community to becoming a global force. Today, almost 67% of the kingdom's population are active gamers. Thousands of players have taken the professional route. The kingdom has plans for the sector to contribute by around 50 billion Saudi riyal to its economy by 2030. And on top of that, we are hosting the world's biggest esports tournaments, launching groundbreaking strategies, and building an ecosystem that is inclusive, dynamic, and ready for the future. None of this, of course, would have happened without the passion and dedication and the leadership of one of Saudi Arabia's leading faces, a true gamer, an inspiring leader, His Royal Highness Prince Faisal bin Bendar bin Sultan, the chairman of our federation. For many, including myself, Prince Faisal is more than just a leader. He's a mentor. He's a constant source of inspiration. His belief in the sector, the passionate gamers and the players, his support and his trust have played a massive role in my journey and many others. His Royal Highness Prince Faisal has championed esports, not just in Saudi Arabia, but across the globe. Under his guidance, we've redefined what's possible for this industry, breaking records, building infrastructure, empowering youth and women across the whole sector, showing the world that esports is a serious strategic pillar for the future. Today, we'll be diving into four different themes. The themes are shaping the future. In this session, we'll tackle connectivity, infrastructure, inclusion and skills development, regulation and innovation, and our bold national strategy for gaming and esports. With that, please join me in giving a very warm welcome to His Royal Highness Prince Faisal bin Bendar bin Sultan, the Chairman of the Federation. Welcome, Your Royal Highness. It's an honor to share the stage with you, especially recently being appointed as the CEO of the Federation. I know a lot of secrets, but we're not going to speak about them here today. We're going to tackle the 4 themes, Your Royal Highness, and we appreciate your insights with us today. Maybe I'll start off with a very, very important fundamental, the fundamental of the sector as a whole. So gaming is not just important, but massive in terms of scale, size. What is the pure differentiator between gaming as a sector and esports as a subsector?
Well, first of all, thank you for that lovely introduction. I was not expecting that. And thank you for much of our team. I know you've gotten the day off, but don't get used to it. And thank you, Your Excellency, for having me here. It's a pleasure to speak at such an event, especially something so closely related to what we do on a daily basis. I mean, when you talk about the 2 sectors, gaming is a massive industry. I mean, you're talking over $180 billion in revenues in 2024, projected to be, if I'm not mistaken, roughly $300 billion by 2025, if I'm not mistaken. And esports within that is about 1% of that industry. So it's one part of a much bigger industry that we are looking to grow here. But when you talk about Saudi's efforts and what we're doing in Saudi, we spoke about this earlier, there's picture is worth 1,000 words. And if you think of 2 images from just recently, a couple of weeks ago at the Esports World Cup, one was the closing ceremony of the Esports World Cup. A Saudi team, Team Falcons, winning the overall tournament, which was lovely to see. But it was His Royal Highness the Crown Prince giving them the trophy. And who was right next to him? Prince Abdulaziz, the Minister of Sport, and Cristiano Ronaldo, a bastion of traditional sport, a bastion of football. As well as Ralph, the CEO of the Esports World Cup Foundation. We don't want to forget him. But that showcases the positioning and how seriously we are taking this as an industry, how seriously we're taking the growth of this. And then you fast forward 24 hours later, we had the conference, the new Global Sports Conference. And you had on stage, the opening panel was me talking about esports, but who was next to me? His Excellency Minister Suwaha, His Excellency Minister of Tourism, His Excellency the Minister of Investment, and Prince Abdulaziz, the Minister of Sport. Where else in the world do you have not only a national strategy for gaming and esports, to build an industry and forge a pathway forward, to make sure that we're all moving forward as one entity, as Team Saudi. But where else do you have this kind of alignment between all these ministries on any subject, let alone gaming and esports? And it is amazing to be a part of, it is amazing to see, and it goes to our set goal within the strategy of making Saudi Arabia a global hub for gaming and esports. And I get asked a lot, what does a global hub mean? And for me, a global hub is a very easy thing to answer. It is, when you talk about gaming and esports, it means that Saudi is one of the places that comes to the top of your mind. When you think about the industry, when you think about a career in this industry, when you think about watching an esports tournament, whenever you talk about this industry, we want Saudi to be a natural part of that conversation. And that is what we mean. The same way you talk about Japan, California, some places in Europe, China, we want Saudi to be a natural part of that conversation. And in esports, I think we're there. In the gaming industry, our mission has just begun, but I look forward to seeing many more things in the near future.
Absolutely. Thank you, Your Royal Highness. And I fully agree, the conference really re-emphasized not just how important the space is, but just to witness a lot of the people in the sessions speaking that this is the only conference that is absolutely important for them all year round. So it really gives us reassurance that esports is definitely a vibrant sector in the kingdom. Maybe starting off with the first theme of our talk today, focusing on connectivity. In esports, Your Royal Highness, you know that milliseconds can decide victory or defeat. Very important, of course. How do you see fast, reliable, low latency connectivity shaping the experience for both professional players, but also fans, because we have a lot of casual gamers here, especially in events like Saudi League for the Saudi Esports Federation, the Esports World Cup, one of the major tournaments globally, especially with the recently launched esports strategy.
I mean, in esports, latency and ping rate is everything. When we started our mission in 2018, it was one of the many conversations His Excellency and I had. Our average ping rate across games was about 150, which in gaming you can work with. In esports, you cannot be competitive with that rate. Through different initiatives and building out that infrastructure in partnership with CST, what was CITC at the time, we have now across the board brought down our ping rates below 40. And on average, they're closer to 10. We have had, I mean, again, the numbers, 89% improvement rate in average latency for the most popular games. And one of the biggest spurs to that, which was one of my favorite projects that I think we've ever been a part of, is a project we launched called Game Mode, where directly working with the authority for communications under the ministry, we launched this project with the telecoms operators, where on a monthly basis, we would announce through all social media, through a report, the average ping rate for each telecom operator per game. So you would know if you played this game, if you were a PUBG player, it was better for you to move to STC because they had a lower ping rate than a Mobile. And so that made the telecom providers work harder to bring down the latency, to make programs for games, to make packages, to sponsor events, to do more to bring the gamers into what they're doing. And it really changed the landscape of what we're doing in the most simple way. I think, if I'm not mistaken, as current numbers, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Saudi Arabia ranks 10th in internet speed globally, which is a huge increase. We've got over 95% internet penetration, which is insane. You add to that 67% of our population are under the, 70% of our population, or 65% are under the age of 35. 67% consider themselves gamers. This is a huge part of who we are, of what we do. You have the different telecom operators working hard, and what brings this all together is the support we have had from leadership, from His Highness the Crown Prince, all the way down to the community who have been a part of this from day one. Every minister we talk to understands what we're doing. The vast majority of them are gamers as well. The community are excited. They come out every day. From that first tournament we did in 2018, where nobody knew who we were. We had, within a month of being created, we were asked to do a tournament within 2 weeks. We had 45,000 people sign up. We had 1,500 participate and 5,000 come to watch. And that was really set the groundwork for where we are today, where you have the Esports World Cup with 2,000 athletes from over 100 countries, with over 500 million individual viewers internationally, over 300 million hours watched of our content, over 3 billion social media impressions. And those numbers, I'm sure, will go up. And that was just the last updated numbers I had. But all of this had to start somewhere. And it started with a simple conversation with the ministry to bring the latency down, to give us a chance to compete. And that was the spur for everything we are now.
Fantastic, and I'm really proud of the numbers, not just on a global stage, but even locally from the participation at the league. Your Royal Highness, maybe moving on to the second question, which ties in very well with the first one, especially on investment. I think, or I know, I don't think, I know, I'm positive that Saudi Arabia has invested heavily in 5G, cloud computing, data centers, and submarine cables. How critical are these investments to positioning the kingdom as a global gaming hub? And how does Saudi Arabia's connectivity infrastructure gives us an edge in hosting big tournaments like the Esports World Cup?
It is absolutely critical. I mean, the groundwork for everything you do in gaming, when you want to host on these servers, you have to have the servers here. Our recent agreements with AWS, with Alibaba Cloud, Tencent Cloud, Microsoft Azure, gave us the groundwork for these international publishers to be able to host their games here, to give us the latency that we need, the ping rates that we need. I mean, things like STC boosting their internet speeds 20% year on year to boost our streaming capabilities and our streaming platforms. And this community taking part and taking every opportunity they can. The strengthening we've seen of the Saudi store with the tightening up of the regulations and making the regulations for gaming more clear has given us the opportunity to have a strong Saudi store where we can now host games at the same time as they are hosted anywhere else. You no longer have people connecting from Saudi to the US store or the European store or the Chinese store. They're hooking up on the Saudi store. And the advancements, I mean, you look at our 5G networks, we have almost 80% coverage of 5G in Saudi Arabia, which is insane. It's one of the highest, if I'm not mistaken, in the world. And our 5G networks are fast, reliable, and packed with no latency goodness, but no coronavirus, I promise. And these efforts have really set the stage for everything that we're doing moving forward as a gaming industry and not just in esports. Because our aim is not to become a global hub for esports, but a global hub for the gaming and esports industries. And to do that, having these servers here, having these capabilities here, it is our job to build the tools and the foundation that this next generation can then build, that glowing tower on. And we've done the work on the physical infrastructure. Our biggest job coming now is on the people, on the next generation, on the educational programs in schools, in universities, teaching them what it means to be a part of these industries, what it means to be a professional gamer, what it means to be a game developer. We are close to announcing something with the Ministry of Education to launch something nationwide. We've launched programs in schools all across Riyadh. Princess Noor University has a program, Art for Gaming. King Saud University has DigiPen, which is a game development school. King Faisal University has a program for game development, as well as King Fahad Petroleum University in Al-Khubar has a program for game development. But we want to launch something that is nationwide, that is setting us up for the future. Because the growth we've seen in esports, we've seen we can take a leadership role now. In the gaming industry, to make something and make that global hub for the game development industry, you were talking about a 5 to 10 to 15-year plan. But that starts now with the investments in physical infrastructure and investments in people and in training. And we strive every day for perfection, knowing that perfection is impossible. No one can achieve perfection, but that strive for perfection is what sets the stage for what everyone else can do. And you add to that the ambition that we have in the National Strategy and Vision 2030 that His Highness has set for us and that we push for every single day with the knowledge from every project we have done and the experience we've had that now nothing is impossible. It is those things that will set the stage for what we can be as the future, not just in this industry, but across all industries. And that's what, what we wake up for and we work for every day as a federation, as an industry, as a ministry, and everything that we do for this industry moving forward.
Absolutely. And I think, Your Highness, you touched upon talent development, which is a very important pillar, but I'll move into it in a bit. Maybe just to conclude this theme, many experts, and I'm sure experts here especially, say that digital infrastructure should be treated as a critical national infrastructure. How do you see this mindset influencing economic and social growth through gaming in Saudi Arabia?
Well, under Project Ignite, which is the leader in that building, maintaining, and growing that digital infrastructure here in Saudi, of which gaming is a small part, it has become a priority under Vision 2030, a national priority, and not just a priority of a ministry or of a sector. And creating that long-term vision for how do we make that digital economy and how do we grow that in all aspects, whether it's gaming, whether it's advertising, whether it's the IT, internet or Internet of Things, IoT, all the different aspects of it is how do we stake our claim to be a large part of this industry. We say a lot of things like a global hub. We are under no illusion that we are going to be the only global hub. But right now, in this sector, whether it's the digital infrastructure, whether it's the digital sector, whether it's gaming, growth anywhere and movement anywhere is good for everyone. And to be a part of that global community is key to everything that we are doing. But you cannot be a part of that global community if you do not put an emphasis on yourself to be better. And where we can take a leadership role, where we can, where we can take an assisting role, we can. But the important thing is to be a part of that global community and be a part of that global standard that is being set. And not try and catch up, but be a part of where that standard is and then grow with everyone. And I think we've done an amazing job of that under 2030. But when you talk about what gaming is to a part of that, I mean, gaming has grown 5 times faster than global GDP in the last decade, which is insane. It is larger as an industry in revenues than music, television, and movies combined. And if we miss the boat on this, then we are missing the boat on something that is important to our community, important to our people, and an important part of the global GDP growth. And it is doing that and building that national infrastructure that is the standard that is set for that is not just a key component to that, it is everything to what we're doing. And it is our only chance to be a part of that global community. So it's, when you talk about job creation, under our strategy we have 39,000 jobs we're going to be creating. GDP contribution, we have announced 50 billion in contribution to the GDP by 2030. That is our aim, 1% of the GDP by 2030. All of these would not be possible without that investment in that initial movement, in the digital infrastructure, in that underlying infrastructure of what we do, and building those tools for future generations.
Your Royal Highness, you mentioned a very key sentence here. Growth anywhere is good for everyone. And I want to double down on this and say, especially in this amazing symposium, inspiring other countries to see gaming not just as entertainment, because we see that in other federations. Some think of it as entertainment, some think of it as culture, some define it under different industries. Do you see it as a driver of innovation and national capability? How can we inspire others?
Absolutely. And one of the things I think is vastly or understated is the skills development you develop in gaming and esports. As with any sport, many athletes go on to careers outside their own sport. I mean, when we talk about 39,000 jobs created in gaming and esports, you know, we have roughly 1,200 professional gamers right now. We anticipate in the next 2 to 3 years that will reach 3,000. But you're very rarely going to get above 3,000 to 5,000 professional gamers. So when we talk about 39,000 jobs created, how are we going to get there? Well, this industry is much greater than what you see at the professional gaming sense. You have not just coaches, not just referees. You have the IT underlying. You have the production, the people who are casting, people behind the cameras. You have the events companies. You have F&B. You have physical therapists. You have legal, finance, all of these things that are adjacent to what these young professionals are doing that is key to the growth of this industry. And that's just esports. You talk about games development. You talk about, you know, some of these developers need 100 to 150, 200 people to create one game. Our strategy has maintained that we need 250 gaming companies based in Saudi by 2030. That is a huge influx of people. And you add to that the roles and the skills you learn at the school and university level by learning gaming and esports can be applied in other things. There's a story that often catches people off guard, which I enjoy, not enjoying catching people off guard, but the story I enjoy. There was a young man in Singapore who was a professional esports player. If I'm not mistaken, he played CSGO. After he retired, he joined an investment bank. And using the skills he learned playing and being a professional esports player, being good on the computer, having the computer skills. Because remember, these young men and women are doing roughly 450 to 500 actions per minute, keyboard and mouse on average. And that's an average player. That's not the top of the top. You know, someone like Faker in League of Legends is doing over 600 actions per minute, that's just not human. But skill on a computer, quick decision making, also knowing when to let go of a bad decision, not sticking with a bad decision for too long, communication, which is a big part of esports. All of these skills that he learned, he moved up the ranks at his private bank so quickly to VP that he was then given the authority to create a team under him of former esports players to train in the banking industry, because they were now seen as a key skill level that would help in private banking, which is completely unrelated to gaming, you would think. But it goes to show that those skills that you learn are a boon to other industries. I mean, you think of architecture. Any building that is built in a gaming engine first, before it's ever built in the real world. Military training is done in a gaming engine, as well as, the future of drones and all of that is all gaming skills. You think about sports, sports analytics, those are similar to what you do in esports, the heart rate, the management of time, all of these things. But also when you talk about the infrastructure of sports, arenas, events, all of those skills are transferable to the same thing you do in esports. But more importantly, when you do safety and tests for arenas, how do you get in and out? How many people should be in what area? All of those are done in a gaming engine before they're ever done in the real world. Gaming is an integral part of so many industries that people don't realize until you start to look at the details. And it is that part that's key. When we talk about that, the people who are part of this in the future, that important part of the education, an important part of the future of what we're doing, I think that is key to everything we're doing as a country and not just as a gaming industry.
Absolutely. Your Royal Highness, you moved into, or what your statement and your talk is a perfect segue to the second theme, which is inclusion and talent development. A lot of what we do in the kingdom, you mentioned very important figures. 70% of our population under the age of 35. 67% of them are actually active gamers. So I don't want to touch upon how gaming is a gateway to building skills, because you absolutely gave so many perfect examples. But I want to talk about training programs, community hubs in the kingdom, school initiatives. How are these efforts helping us to discover and develop talents from all backgrounds and all different races, basically?
Well, that's the great thing about gaming, is your opportunity is based on your skill and skill alone. Not gender, background, history, color, religion. When you play a game, you are playing a game through an avatar, and therefore the first image that people see of you is your skill and your skill alone. And that is where you get to stake your claim. We have, our community, as you said, is 67% of the population consider themselves gamers, but 48% of our community are female. And 20% of our professional athletes are from our young women as well. Now that seems like a small number, and we have a lot of efforts to grow that, but if you compare that with the global average, which is 5%, we are far away and far above what the global average is. But that is not because of me, that is because of our community. Our young men and women have taken the time and the effort to train, to get better, and to participate. And when given the opportunity, our young women have come out and have participated. And every chance they get to come out and participate, we get the chance to showcase the skill level they have. Young women like Najd Al-Fahad, who was our first female international champion. She won the FIFA Intercollegiate World Championship in 2021 or 22, if I'm not mistaken, 22. We have Falcons Vega, our Valorant team, who were not just champions of the local league in Valorant, but they won every event they participated in, local, regional, and international, and still leading the way, playing so well, by the way, that they now play in Europe and come back to the Middle East very, very infrequently. We have a shining example right in front of you, our CEO of the Federation, Bعنوان, who is a showcase that you can succeed if you have the time, the effort, and the passion that you put into this. But again, it is not me talking about this. It is our young men and women taking every opportunity to come out and showcase that they are here and they deserve to be on this stage. And there was another thing, I remember we were quite surprised, it caught us off guard. We had a meeting the other day with one of the sponsors of the Esports World Cup, El-Beik. Great chicken restaurant, if anyone loves fried chicken. Season's over, they're no longer a sponsor, but I still enjoy their food. but they were sponsoring a young academy out of Jeddah. And they brought this young man to come meet us and talk about what they're doing and how can we support this academy. And the young man told me something that really caught my attention. They were a growing academy based out of Jeddah who put forward, graduating from their academy, were some of our young professionals, some of our best players that participated in the Esports World Cup, including Abu Makka, FIFA player, and some of our Overwatch players. And he told me that he got his start. He graduated from our Saudi Esports Academy a few years prior. And then he moved back home to Jeddah and noticed there was no infrastructure there for it. So he started his own academy there based on what he learned in our Saudi Esports Academy. And then they are now building out champions from his academy, which is now getting supported by one of the biggest chains, food chains in Saudi, which is one of our success stories. And this is the opportunity. When our young men and women, not just here, but in this industry, when our young men and women around the world are given the opportunity, they take these steps. They are much more proactive than I remember being when I was that age. And I am so proud of them every time I see one of them step forward. And it is a testament to what we've seen, not just there, but we've seen a group of young women start a program for training games. They do it in Valorant and in League of Legends. And they did so well that the local representative, the EMEA representative for Riot, asked them to be a part of what they're doing in the growth of their league. We had at our conference, we had the launch of about 6 games that were launched during the conference that people got a chance, top CEOs from around the world got a chance to come in and play for themselves. We have, through our initiatives, actually through Project Ignite with the National Development Fund, we have initiatives with Mirak 47 and with Mirak and Impact 46 and SVC, where we've launched, if I'm not mistaken, 20 games over the last year. I mean, these are all things thanks to this community of young men and women who have come out in droves to take part. And it is a testament to the talent that they have. And they are doing so much now that they are now teaching the next generation, the academies, the lessons they've learned. They are growing this industry, and they are the ones that are going to take this industry to where it needs to be. And it is very exciting to see.
Absolutely, super exciting. I want to move into a very important and relevant theme here. So whenever we talk about regulations, Your Royal Highness, or innovation, gaming comes to mind. The gaming industry, we all know that it is very dynamic. It moves incredibly fast. How has Saudi Arabia's agility in regulatory frameworks really helped encourage innovation? How does these policies give the flexibility to host groundbreaking events like the Esports World Cup and the Nations Cup as well, while still maintaining the highest standards?
Well, to be able to build an industry and to be able to host events of the standard that we expect of ourselves, that regulatory backbone is key. Understanding that people have the protections, IP protections that Your Excellency championed, but also the clarity of regulation. When we started in 2018, one of our biggest issues alongside the server and the ping rate was a lack of clarity in our gaming regulations. And what that led to was a weakening of the Saudi store and therefore a strengthening of the black and gray markets in Saudi, which was a huge problem. And what that meant was when we talked to publishers, how can you work with us to do something here? The answer we got most often was, well, our games are already sold there without you, so why should we work with you? Which was unacceptable. So we strengthened regulation where they needed to be strengthened. We clarified regulation where it was unclear. And we loosened regulation where it was too strict. And it was this combination of working with the regulatory bodies, with the ministers and the ministries, but also gave us the opportunity to work with the private sector and with the publishers to say, you are now our partner and not our adversary. We had a chance to really become strict on the black and gray market, protect those IP rights, strengthen the Saudi store, where we brought people from those international stores back to the Saudi store, where games are now launched on the Saudi store, the same time they're launched on the international store, and launched more times than not in Arabic, the same time they're launched in English and in other languages. We even had a conversation with a Japanese developer who said Arabic is now one of their key languages in the games that they launch, which they never thought about 3 or 4 years ago. But all of this was because of that regulatory stance that we took, those protections we put in place, the clarity that now we can work with developers. You see that now with efforts that are being made in Roblox. We are working with Roblox to find a right way through the problems that are happening on a community level, rather than the knee-jerk reaction that others have made to ban and to simply cut out. For us, that knee-jerk reaction is simply not good enough. It is not good enough for our community, it is not good enough for our private sector, and it is not good enough for our partners around the world. We owe everyone the efforts to work with, to find a pathway forward, and if there is no pathway forward, then we have our fallback, which is whatever the regulations provide. But now that those are clear, those steps are now clear, and that opens up the pathway for communication, for conversation, which wasn't there previously. And that gave us the opportunity to host something like the EWC in partnership with 24 different publishers. And a festival that brought in even more publishers, that was not just a home for the best esports competitions, but was a festival for some of the best publishers and the best gaming IPs in the world, working with Sony, working with Riot, Tencent Games, Supercell. I mean, we're working with everybody because everybody now understands clearly what our stance is, and that we are not just open for business, but we are working with you, not in a parallel path, which I think is very key to everything that we're doing.
Amazing, Your Royal Highness. Maybe I want to shift into a very important theme in our talk today, which is the reality of the Vision 2030. And primarily through the national gaming and esports strategy. How is this strategy is a fundamental pillar in shaping Saudi Arabia's long-term global gaming industry?
So, when we talk about the national gaming strategy, and I am not a numbers person by any sense of the word, so I bring notes with me so I don't get my numbers wrong. But when we launched in 2022, 86 initiatives across the whole gamut of the industries. You're talking about not just what people think of as games and esports. We're talking about infrastructure, talent, regulation, talent development. We're talking about funds. The fund we have with the National Development Fund is focused on startups and small to medium enterprises. We have Savvy Games Group, which is a part of our strategy with their international expansion and how becoming a part of the international community's growth. 250 companies based in Saudi. How do we help them come in? How do we help them start? But also, how do we help them hire? How do we create the talent pool for them to hire? One of our biggest issues is companies want to come into Saudi. And people, young men and women at university, want to study esports and gaming initiatives. But before the company comes in, they want a talent pool that they can hire from. And before people take the initiative to study, they want jobs that they can grow into. So how do we bridge that gap? That's what the strategy is there for. How do we help those companies get started, to train that initial workforce, to start hiring, to spur our young men and women to take those courses at university level so that the jobs can come in that they will be taking over the years to come. But also, what it does is it gives us those set of KPIs are not just ambitious KPIs that set a roadmap, but they are a showcase to everyone that this is our ambition. We are not setting a low bar. We expect to be not just a part of the global community, but a significant part of the global community. And we are ready, and our doors are open to cooperate, to work with, to be a part of that, that global industry, to understand that we are doing things and everything we do here impacts what is happening internationally, and to take that leadership role in esports, to have that future leadership role in gaming. It takes a village to move a mountain, and these initiatives, one by one, when we announced in 2022, we had, if I'm not mistaken, 10 esports teams in Saudi. This was going into COVID. We had just launched our Saudi E-Leagues. We had, at that point, I think 3 gaming development companies. After the launch of this strategy, the influx that we've seen, we now have, as I said, over 100 esports teams, local Saudi teams. International teams like Gen G and AG Global are opening teams in Saudi. We have over 1,200 players. We have 35 gaming development companies that are now in Saudi. We have another 15 that are in development, getting their licensing now. We have roughly 20 that have applied for license to come into Saudi. We have people now, we launched at the new Global Sports Conference, a premium premium residency where, and we added gaming and esports to that, where now if you are part of this industry, you can now start a company, own land, you can become a resident of Saudi Arabia. And I mean, if you'd have told me this 15 years ago, that not only would gaming and esports be a part of this national movement and government movement, but that also I would be somewhat a part of it, I'd have told you were crazy. But it is not just a reality, it is a fact of the matter now. And that growth we are seeing as a multiplier effect, day on day, year on year, and that relationship now between private and public sector, which is facilitated through the launch of the strategy and the founding of the authority, which was announced recently and will be up and running soon. And that will be the real last cog that brings everything together to really spur this industry into the next level and into for the next generation.
Thank you. I think, Your Royal Highness, it's very important to understand that this compass of the National Gaming and Esports Strategy has, with its 86 initiatives, multiple players within it, whether it's global, private sector, and there's absolutely amazing harmony, camaraderie and partnership between private sector and public sector. How do you see this partnership really leading the growth of the sector?
I mean, it is absolutely key. I mean, what we're doing, especially with the national strategies, we are saying we are focused on regulation, we are focused on cleaning up our sector, but we are doing this not for regulation's sake, but for business growth. And the only way to do that is in cooperation and in talking to the private sector to understand what is on the ground, what are they seeing. I mean, it is these constant conversations, whether it's at things like the new Global Sports Conference, where we have the best of the best companies in the world attending our conference, where we can talk to the CEOs one-on-one, all of our policymakers, and say, well, look, what do you need to be able to grow your company here? And the things that come out of it are sometimes things that you don't realize. The cost of employees, for example, even with our subsidies, was quite high. But when you explain to them the initiatives that we have at the school and university level and that influx of talent that will be coming through in the next year or two, now it starts to make sense. It is high now because there is a lack of talent. That talent is coming out and graduating within the next year or two. I mean, I would anticipate in the next 2 to 3 years, over 3,000 people entering this industry from our school and university programs and trades programs. That changes those numbers. That changes people's willingness to come in and be a little bit more patient. What we found right now with some of our homegrown companies is when you bring in someone who hasn't been trained at a school level, it takes roughly a year for them to be up to scratch where they can be an additive member of a team, especially at something like a publisher level. We can't expect an international company to come and spend a year of their time training rather than working. We are doing that with our local companies. We are now graduating those people out to work not just here in Saudi, but around the world. We have young Saudis working at companies all over the world. And one of the ones that is a face of what we're doing, Abdulaziz Rashidi, whose stage name is Fancy, is a local homegrown talent. He was our face of our Saudi E-Leagues. He was our face of our local community for League of Legends, who's now leading a team at Riot for their localization in Saudi. He is now a full member and employee of Riot, not of the Saudi E-Leagues. And this is that growth we want to see. Our young men and women coming from what we're doing, what we've built, and entering these local, international companies, and then bringing that know-how and that experience back to Saudi, that's what we want to see. We want to start seeing local IPs, local homegrown young men and women going out, rather than us just bringing international people and international IPs here. We launched a game which is amazing. It's hopefully going to be a new esport called Shotball at the Esports World Cup, where it's, I know this sounds crazy for those of you who aren't gamers, but it is essentially football or soccer where you're kicking the ball or hitting the ball with a shotgun, and you have to move the ball across the field and score. And it is so much fun, it is insane. But this is created here. And now we are showcasing it to the world. We are no longer simply resigned to bringing international IPs and international products to Saudi. We are now creating here. We are now building here. I mean, I know plenty of space cadets in Saudi, but we now have homegrown astronauts who have gone to space. I mean, we are no longer sitting back and watching the world advance. We have reached where everyone is, and we are now growing together as a global community in multiple industries. And our growth in the digital sector and the efforts made by the ministry here, by the government here, led by the Vision 2030, and the ambition and the push we get on a consistent basis by His Highness, the Crown Prince, these spur us, these keep us excited. They lead to a lot of sleepless nights, I'm not gonna lie, but they are exciting. They are exciting times. And all it takes is one day in Saudi, walking through any part, any mall, any event, just walking through and seeing the mission that people have, the ambition that our young men and women have that are gonna take us into that next stage. All it takes is for that to see the efforts we have been putting in are not in vain. And I look forward, not quite yet, don't worry, but I look forward to the day when I can retire and sit back and watch what this next generation can do. There's still plenty to do. We have done a lot. But the great thing about this industry, especially in gaming and esports and in tech in general, this industry changes on a daily basis. If you are not on top of what's happening, if you don't have a finger on the pulse of this community, of the consumer, of the player, of the fan, you are going to fall behind the curve very quickly. And once you fall behind the curve, it is very hard to catch up. And it is our mission and it is our initiative to make sure that we are staying ahead of the curve, that we are having constant communication with our communities, with our leadership, with our companies, with our partners around the world, to make sure we are no longer trying to catch up, but we are pushing the line globally for where these as industries are moving to, and that we are ahead of the curve and we are working with our partners globally, private sector, public sector, country, nation, person, you know, at every part of this. It is that effort that is exciting and makes sure that we show up to work every day.
Thank you, Your Royal Highness. I think with your leadership and with His Excellency Engineer Suwaha's leadership and everyone here in the kingdom, really, I'm positive the future is bright. Thank you for your thought-provoking words, Your Royal Highness, your leadership and your inspiration. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Thank you very much.